Hello, welcome back to the With Mrs. B podcast. This week, we are focusing on health and wellness with a simple but what I think is incredibly powerful reminder. And that is that the small things count. It's not the dramatic overhaul or perfect fitness plan or the version of wellness that can only work when your life is calm and quiet and you're super highly motivated. We're talking about the small habits, the small choices, the small moments where you follow through that shape how you feel over time. Because often what changes our life substantially isn't that one big giant change in health and wellness, but it's what we return to and commit to consistently. And so today, excuse me, I want to go deeper into something that affects every single one of us. I want to dig into why we avoid the things that we know matter when it comes to our health and wellness. Why do we delay the habits that would actually help us feel better? We're regularly telling ourselves we are going to start on Monday. We're going to need a fresh month. We're going to need a new plan. Maybe we need to get in a better mood before we begin. And more importantly, how do we actually make positive shifts towards consistency that we can actually maintain and build on? So that's what we're talking about today. So let's get into it. One of the most important things that I want to say at the beginning of this conversation is that most of the time we do not avoid healthy habits because we're lazy. We avoid them because there is something underneath the behavior that is getting in the way. It could be overwhelm. It could be getting into that, like it has to be all or nothing kind of thinking. Maybe you are just really discouraged about where you are with your health and wellness, or oftentimes you're just thinking that you have to get it perfect. And for me, it was resentment and exhaustion from a previous version of myself as it related to health, wellness, and fitness. I was resentful and I was exhausted. I just didn't want to work out anymore. And also, it sometimes can be emotional avoidance. There is this quiet belief in your mind that you aren't going to be doing it right unless you do it a certain way. Um, you know, Almost or a little bit doesn't count. So when you have this avoidance, when you have these quiet beliefs about what health and wellness or taking care of yourself gets to look like, it can keep you really stuck for a long time. Because if your mind tells you that your health and wellness only matters if you have a perfect meal plan and a perfect workout routine and your kitchen's organized and you go to bed early, you drink all your water, you have all your supplements lined up every morning, you are meal planning and you have an ideal schedule, all of the things, the energy just to do all of that. If that's what you're telling yourself, then of course you're going to delay beginning because that version of maintaining health and wellness feels like a lot. It feels complicated, and it's really easy to abandon anything that feels too complicated and too hard to sustain, right? And so, what I want to offer up today is this. This is what I have been telling myself recently. Our health and wellness doesn't need to look like some dramatic rescue plan to start over. It gets to mean having a relationship with health and wellness that is steady, realistic, and kind enough to yourself that you can repeat whatever this new version of health and wellness is, whatever these habits are, you can repeat it daily. So I want to just dive into a few of the reasons that people avoid the things they know matter. And by the people, we, me, us, why we avoid the things we know matter. Okay, so the first one is this. We associate health and wellness with pressure. instead of support, something that we have to do versus something that we get to do to support ourselves. For a lot of people, having healthy habits feels like a punishment. Like, I need to do this. I should do this. I have to keep it together. I blew my diet. I'm behind. I gained weight that I already lost over and over again. Here I am messing up again. That is like some really heavy energy, and it's never going to create momentum. It's only ever going to create resistance because nobody wants to be managed or motivated from a place of shame. And if your version of wellness sounds like criticism in your own mind, your nervous system is definitely going to avoid it, right? The second reason is we tend to make these habits too big. We say we want to get healthy, but what we really think that means is, okay, I've got to wake up early, meal prep every day, cut out all sugar, walk every day, work out 5 times a week, drink more water, stretch, take my supplements, go to bed earlier, reduce my stress level, regulate my nervous system. I've got to meditate, and I got to start doing all of that tomorrow. Friends, that is not a habit. That is like a whole lifestyle renovation overhaul. And your brain is like, that is a lot. We go into shutdown. Now we're avoiding, right? So instead of starting small, we're going to wait until we can do all of that. And, because life always be lifing, we just keep not starting because starting to us feels so big. The third reason, we are trying to make up for lost time. This is such a big one, and this is definitely me in this season of life. The version of me who was running all of the time and did a couple half marathons and a marathon and a Spartan race. I was burned out and resentful and exhausted. And I quit. I quit with all of my habits. I literally just quit. And now I'm trying to make up for lost time. Does that resonate with any of you? Like you've been off track for a while, and instead of just gently re entering and redirecting, like we've swerved off, and instead of gently getting back on the road, we're like trying to overcorrect and we crash and burn. We want to try to undo everything in a few days or a few weeks that's been building for months, years, and in some cases, maybe even decades. That urgency is making us choose intensity over consistency. But intensity is hard to sustain, especially when you're starting over. Consistency is actually what changes things and helps you ease back on to path to health and wellness. And then the fourth reason, this is a biggie. We get really disconnected from the deeper why. Sometimes it's not that we don't care about our health and wellness. It's that we've lost connection to what the habit is really for, right? Like, why are we choosing to do the things that we do? Because drinking water isn't just about hydration. Walking isn't just about the steps. Eating better, making healthier food choices isn't just about the food. Going to bed earlier isn't just about sleep. All of these things are about energy. All of these things are about the mood that we generate through all of these habits. It's about balancing our hormones. I mean, friends, I'm at a place in my life where I never realized what a shift in my hormones was going to be like, and how all of these small habits contribute to keeping my hormones balanced. These things contribute to patience and strength. It shows us what it's like to be a steward of our own body and our own health. It helps us build confidence and presence and discipline. When we lose the deeper meaning behind the actual habit, the habit just starts to feel optional, right? And I just want to also pause and say that I'm really clear and know that this conversation is for all ages and all stages of life. I don't care if you're young, teenager, college student, learning how to take care of yourself on your own and be disciplined about your health and wellness for the first time, if you're in the thick of parenting a bunch of young kids and finding it hard, right, to get all the things in while you're keeping other little humans alive, or you're building a business, or you're navigating stress or hormones or recovery, transition in life, whatever it is, this still applies. This applies to every season of life. Health and wellness isn't reserved for one season of life when you're really young or when you're getting old. Consistency doesn't mean that your habits are always going to look the same through each season of your life. This is really important. And I'm learning this again. I say this over and over because I'm living it. The walk that you take with health and wellness in one decade of your life might look very different than the movement and the habits and the choices that your body needs in a different season of your life, right? The meals that you prepare, the way that you work out or get in your movement, your sleep routine, all of these things look different. And it's a matter of adapting to that season versus abandoning that habit altogether. That was a really key and big lesson for me because we can't always win this game of health and wellness the same forever, but we do get to really stay in relationship with it. And we get to ask ourselves, what supports me now? What is realistic now? And what small choice can help me create more care and more steadiness and more energy in this season of my life? That question changed everything for me. And I believe that it can change things for you too. Because when you stop comparing your current capacity, your current season of health and wellness to some other former version of yourself or even some fantasy future version of yourself, then you can actually begin again in a more honest way that supports you today. So, how do we start making these positive shifts that can actually that we can actually maintain and build on? As always, we want to make it super practical. So, we're going to talk about a few shifts that we can make starting right away. And we're going to start with the first one. Make the shift, the habit, the change smaller than your ego wants it to be, right? Our egos want this to be a dramatic comeback, but our nervous system, our brains need something that feels safe enough that we can repeat it. So instead of going out and starting, my running routine all over again and putting in, 5, 10, 15 miles, it means I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk. I'm going to start small. Or instead of trying to get in my, 80 ounces of water a day out of my big jug, I'm just going to commit to drinking one bottle of water or one 8-ounce glass of water before I take my coffee in the morning. Get a little bit more protein at breakfast. Go to bed even 20 minutes earlier. Do some stretching while your dinner is cooking and in the oven. So these are small, doable things. Maybe not eating perfectly at every meal, but eating more intentionally. So let it be small, let it be doable, and let it count, right? Okay, the second shift that we get to make is stop asking ourselves, what is the best plan? What is my plan going to be? And start just asking a simple question with, what can I just repeat? What can I repeat? That question is gold because the best habits that we have are not the most impressive, elaborate workout plans, but it's like the one simple habit that you can repeat and stays with you. A habit that you can repeat even when life is busy and your week is hard. That's more powerful than the habit that only works when you have ideal time and conditions and energy to get down and go to the gym and do the workout or whatever. Shift 3, we get to build a new identity. And we get to build that new identity through creating and gathering evidence. Every single time you follow through with one of these new habits in a small way, you're collecting evidence for a new identity, evidence that tells yourself, I can care for myself. I can return to some consistent, healthy habits. I can be consistent. Like now I can trust myself again. And I don't have to do everything in order for some of the things to be meaningful, right? This matters because this self-trust that's repeated through proof and evidence, and not just our intentions, right? Not just we say we want to do something, but we're proving some consistency and trust in ourselves that we will follow through and do it. And shift 4, we get to measure success differently. Not measuring success with, did I do everything perfectly, but did I return? Did I veer back on? Did I ease back onto the path? Did I practice showing up more consistently? Did I choose something that was more supportive? Did I interrupt my pattern to ignore, avoid, or neglect what I know supports my health and wellness? Am I moving in a new direction, right? That is success. And when you define it that way, the habits become much easier to sustain. So, just a little bit of real talk now. I want to speak directly to the part of you that is tired of starting over. I want you to raise your hand if that is you. If you're listening, you can't see this, but if you're watching, you can see my hand is up. The part of you that is tired of starting over, the part of you that knows what matters, but has felt inconsistent, the part of you that wants to feel better in your body with your energy, your mood, your mind, the part of you that maybe keeps thinking, okay, I'll do better next week or next month. I want to speak to that part of you and ask, what if you did not wait one more day? What if today could be the starting point? What if in the next 60 days, you didn't have to be extreme or powerful? What if in the next 60 days, you just made a declaration that things get to feel different because you're willing to take care of yourself in small, steady ways? Things get to feel different. What could be different in 60 days if you drank a little more water, walked or moved your body a few more times a week, chose better food just a little more often, went to bed just a little earlier? In 60 days, your body could feel different. Your mind could feel more clear. Your energy could feel more steady. I definitely know your confidence would be stronger and you would be like rebuilding self-trust. And I think most importantly, we would stop seeing wellness and healthy choices as something that we've failed at and start experiencing it as something that we can get to choose to live every day through small, intentional choices. That is powerful. There is something really deeply motivating about realizing that you don't need to blow up your whole life to feel better. I have always said building a life you love doesn't mean building a perfect life and starting over and burning it down. It means making new intentional choices in every area of your life over and over again, day after day. Same thing with health and wellness. You just get to start partnering with yourself a little differently. So here's what I want to leave you with today. These small movements are not insignificant. These small shifts are not insignificant. Simple doesn't mean ineffective. Small things count. The short walk counts. The little extra protein and water counts. Getting to bed just a few minutes earlier counts. And no one has to earn the right or have the permission to start. You don't have to feel fully ready. You don't need to have some big impressive plan or hire a, personal trainer. You just need one honest shift, one supportive new choice, and a moment of follow through that says, I am done waiting, putting off, and avoiding taking care of myself. And then tomorrow, you do it again. And the next day, you do it again and again and again. And that's how our life changes. That's how we get back onto the path of health and wellness. Wellness becomes something that is sustainable and lived daily through the small intentional choices and not just talked about. So My invitation to you today is to take a moment and decide what gets to feel different in the next 60 days and then declare it. I'm declaring I get to feel more energized and more disciplined, more connected to my body. You get to feel more steady, more supported by your own habits, and stop making wellness feel so heavy. You get to become someone who follows through even in the smallest ways. And then you get to choose your first little micro shift today. Your first one, not five, not 10, just one. One shift that you can begin today, one thing that you know you can sustain, one thing that's going to support the version of you that you are becoming. We know life's the life that we want, building lives that we want, it's not just built in the big moments. I say this all the time. It's built in the small intentional things. Inside the Build a Life You Love community, we are diving into wellness this week. We're talking about all week long, and we're going to be diving into the wellness blueprint that is starting on Monday, and we're going to be claiming the next 60 days of shifts together. I would love if you want to get on board and spend 60 days with us in the wellness blueprint. I would love for you to join us. So I will put the link in the show notes. That is inside the Build a Life You Love community. So I can't wait to hear what your small little micro shift is going to be. Let's veer back onto the path of health and wellness together. And until next time, here's to building a life you love.